Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Recording is up. We are going to start working on Gallywix. I'm going to try to switch up my style a little bit and go through like a small chunk in the raid plan and then play the video um, afterwards so that we can kind of see what we just talked about in action and talk about it in a different visual. I think that'll be helpful for some of our learners. So I'm going to give that a shot and let me know if that's helpful or not. But either way, welcome to Gallywix. I'd like to preface by saying that this fight is it's harder than a lot of people give it credit for. People are saying it's a bit easier than Mugsy, maybe even easier than like Sprocket Monger. And to some degree, I think that's kind of true. However, I think that's mostly because people have a very high expectation of the last bosses, and so this works out to be a relatively difficult boss. Although we probably it's killable within 4 nights if we really lock in on it. It is extremely. It's one of those fights that's extremely front loaded though. The first 4 to 5 minutes of the fight are the most difficult part in P1, and then once you get through that, it's very easy. It's like an M&M. It's got a hard outer shell, but just delicious, soft center. So
I love
This
a
is
hard
some
outer shell.
rich milk
you
chocolate.
you like the shell. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna talk about some of the hard outer shell here. So what you'll notice when you come into the room is that a quarter of the room is actually already deleted by the field here. So that is the case. So then you're just playing with the rest of the room. The way that it works is we'll fan clockwise. So we'll start in the circle quadrant and then just fan clockwise and finish in green. So before I talk about that, on the pole, very easy to die. If you, because everybody is stacked here, even the tanks, to bait his drop, he's going to drop on top of us. It basically starts in P3, and he starts with the giga juice lasers, and we're milking. Although there's not that much milk that happens in Mythic. So yeah, we're baiting him to land on top of us, and then all scattering away to not get landed on, and then we'll go to our spots. But it's very easy to die right on the pole if the tanks don't hit it and taunt first. Like if you're the first one to hit it, he will melee you from the center here, and sometimes melee twice. Like it'll like pretty much definitely kill you if you pull early. So we'll have to practice some discipline on that. But yeah, then he'll drop on us, and then we will get into our quadrants. So he's got the absorb, he's doing the cast, total destruction, and then this spins. However, on heroic, right, range steps out. You can't do that on mythic because there's an extra mechanic that tethers you to him and shoots a beam from you to him. And the further you are away from the boss, the more damage that beam does by quite a lot. It falls off by quite a lot the closer that you get. So you actually need to be in and rotating around. It does it in an anti-clockwise fashion. So it'll pick tethered players randomly at the beginning, and then continue to add more and more tethers as it continues to turn. So the longer it goes, the more and more tethers will go out. You won't be tethered right away. So yeah, closer you are to the boss is good, but more importantly than being super close to the boss is that you don't cleave the people in front with your tether. So the way that this is set up, right, is like some of us less mobile ranged people are in this quadrant, and so we can hang out back here, and if we cleave the tanks, it's not as bad. But everybody else will need to just be aware that they're trying not to cleave the other players with their tether. So make sure that there's a straight line between you and the boss. It's not mission critical. Like you won't 100% kill them outright, but they will be taking more damage and it'll be noticeable. And if there's too much of that, then it could cause some deaths. But a little tick here or there, or if you like run through a player or whatever, it doesn't seem to be, from watching the replays that I've seen, it's like it doesn't seem to be that punishing. But it's good to know how it works exactly. And we should play to minimize the damage there. Yep. So that's how that goes. And so it will spin around and then we will launch into the ads afterwards. We'll kick at around 7 seconds ish, I think, between 7 or 8 seconds. We don't really milk this all the way. One, because it's not necessary, and two, because the ramp up damage is actually highly significant. Also, as soon as the boss lands and we're in our quadrants, we will lust right off the rip in here as we're rotating around. So just be aware that you'll be using your cooldowns and everything on the pull, but we will also be required to move a little bit and have some positioning requirement during the lust. Relatively predictable and good though. Okay, so immediately you will notice that there are ads and they'll be on the platform here. It'll be a couple of wrench mongers and a technician, and that will be our 100% our priority as soon as it is done spinning. So as soon as we're done here, we will go and deal with the ads. So we'll run to them directly. So I have halt assigned to pick up the first bomb. This technician is our first DPS check of the fight. We need to kill this before the Giga Coils happen, which is the AoE from the boss that we use the bomb to stop. However, yeah, there's not much time, especially on this first one. This first one has very little time. I have kicks assigned to this. I believe I have Dirt, you're assigned to first kick on the technician. He won't move off of the platform. He'll be here. He won't move off of the platform until he reaches, I think, 80%. So we need to DPS him and kick him so that he'll come off of the platform and we can kind of cleave all of this stuff on with the boss. These will also be marked for the hunters to soothe. I'll leave it up to you guys, Swabbles and Firebrows, to figure out which one. They'll be marked with a mark, and you can figure out which one you want to soothe. But this is actually really important on Mythic. You completely ignore this mechanic, I think, for the most part on Heroic, but it absolutely smashes the tanks when they're enraged. So that needs to happen relatively.
We need to soothe more than once.
No, I think once you do it once per ad, then it's over.
Okay.
So I'm kicking a mob at range.
Yeah, you can step to it. It'll be out here.
We're doomed.
And
Yeah, we're doomed.
You don't need to kick it like immediately, right? Because it won't, like I said, it won't move until it's at 80%, but you will be the first kick on it.
But it looks like it's, oh, never mind. Maybe just the diagram looks like it's off the platform.
Yeah, well, there is another platform here that isn't shown in the plan, but that's where they'll be when you first start it. There's a platform on the right side of every one of these coils here. The Giga controls. Okay.
Is there any reason why it's not like a range kick?
Well, you would need to get on the ads like immediately anyways to meet the DPS check and also, cleave all of them. So you want to be here anyway. You will get here like immediately, regardless. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, we can, but most groups have their rogue do it. So I don't think there'll be any issue for you doing it once you get used to it.
Okay.
So that happens there. And then the difference on Mythic is that what happens is that when he does his frontal, which is that frontal thing here, it drops little energy orbs on the ground. Those energy orbs can stun you. Then it's a magic stun and does quite a bit of damage, but you don't need to run into them. But if you accidentally do, But the other thing that they do is they charge the bomb. It needs to be charged with, and the bombs are quite different on Mythic, but with 4 of the charges, if the person that picks up the bomb after the technician dies runs through 4 of the orbs. That sounds like Banna's mic. Is that Banna?
Whoa, I'm
No,
not Banna.
somebody else came. Oh, it's Imper. So if they run through 4 of the electrical orbs, they will charge the bomb and then they can dunk. And ideally, we don't let him get any of the gigacoils cast off. We dunk to interrupt the gigacoils from even finishing its cast is the ideal timing there. So we'll bait this. This frontal goes on the majority of players, and that's so that it isolates the orbs right next to where we need to dunk it, because it's a really tight timing window. Like I said, this is a DPS check to kill this ad, so the bomb drops, Halt can pick it up, and then zoom over the, after the frontal, zoom over the orbs, and then go dunk it pretty much instantaneously. So that's the plan there. Let's go and do what I said I was going to do, and let's watch that happen. This is just like a random replay that I found from this week that killed it. So let's check out what the rogue does here in their group.
Fat-fingered shadow step. Bro is milking.
He accidentally shadow stepped to the boss. Luckily, it didn't pick him to drop on.
In the hole.
So you can see these tethers here, right? They'll do a little bit of cleaving, and it doesn't seem to be that severe.
Nah.
You should try hunting it. It does send you in the hole.
It does send you in the hole, yeah.
But is it your
I did that on our AOTC kill.
Okay, so they finished the shields. They're milking a little bit. Let's see how. Yeah, they kick it at like, what even was that? I was like, I can't even tell on his UI. Can you guys see the cast timer anywhere? I don't see it on his boss frame.
Go back further. Go back a little bit further.
He's clearly not in charge of that mechanic.
A little further.
What are we looking for?
There's something at the top of the screen.
Oh, that's the shield.
Oh, is it the shield? Oh, that's
Yeah, he's getting the absorb there. But the cast bar is like right here. But anyway, they kick it at like 25%. Other groups, like I've said, I've seen it's like 7 or 8 seconds left or something.
Oh,
But they don't milk
down
it.
to the right hand side next to
Yeah.
where it says elite question mark.
You're right above that.
Down to the bottom right from the thunderstorm thing. Yeah.
There it is.
Up.
8.9.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see it. Yes, nice. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, they kicked it around 8, 7 or 8, and that's pretty doable. So then this platform you'll see Dirt here will drop, and then they'll just go to these ads like instantly. And he kicked it, and he went back to the boss. But yeah, you want to just make sure you stay on that technician until it dies, and then you bait this frontal. So that frontal happens, and it spawns these orbs that will charge the bomb.
Into soaks.
So this Gigacoil's cast, they're letting it go off. So they're taking a bunch of extra damage here. But they also did they also do soaks there? They didn't yet. Soaks will happen afterwards. We'll talk about that. So soaks come out, and it's a combo canister where there's 4 soaks of these little purple, and then 2 healers get picked for these other ones as well. So there's a lot of soaks that need to happen, and there's players that need a minimum number of players that need to be in all of them. The plan for this is that it always spawns in this kind of hook configuration, but basically these are your assigned soaks. So the tanks will be in the Venn diagram between the 2 healers. Healers were a bit more fluid than this because it will pick one of us. It doesn't really matter which side you go to, right? As long as you just Venn diagram it, because the Venn diagram people are in here. Even if there's just one of you on one side, there's still 3 other players that are soaking with you, so it doesn't matter. So just make a Venn diagram. It's totally fine if it's not your typical assigned side or whatever.
There's not even a name anymore. He's just a picture.
Yeah, you're this guy.
Get fucked.
And then yeah, everybody, you're named here. These are your assignments. This is in the Discord as well, in case you forget. But yeah, later on, there is a soak that like we need to bait a frontal up here and get to this soak within 1 second. So some of these players are well, there's going to be a warlock gate that we do like right after the bait, but some of these players are going to have to get really good at baiting that frontal and then taking the gate and getting here. But on this first soak, that timing isn't nearly as tight, so it's not a big deal. But yep, here's the assignments for this. As long as there are 3 people in every soak, then we don't blow up and wipe. So that's good. Oh, and then the other thing that I forgot to mention about the bombs. If the player that has picked up a bomb dies ever in the fight, then we wipe. So the players that are assigned to the bombs can't ever die. Okay, so there's the soaks. Once we do those soaks, I believe he casts suppression. Whenever he casts suppression, that's always going to be our cue to move to the next set of ads. It's actually kind of unique in this fight in that all of the ads spawn on their platforms like right away. So they're all in the room, but we can go to them and get to them whenever we want. But the cue basically to go and get to the other ads is the suppression. So we'll run away as a group. We want to run away anyway, right? But we'll just continue to run away, and the boss will follow us. So tanks, you just want to run directly over here to the ads and everybody else and pick these up. The DPS check on this technician is not nearly as high as the first one. So we can just kind of cleave them down and do that as best as we can. There is a soak pretty much right away. Once you have the ads, we handle that exactly the same, right? It's here, same assignments, but it's just rotated around. Where am I finding it? Right there. So soak here is the same as 5 and 9. Yep. So you notice this configuration, it's always like this. It's just a little hook right here. And so players that were in these ones that were closer to the middle will be in the same ones. The ones that were closer to melee, same ones. Healers up here, dirt and the tanks, soaking in the Venn diagram, always the same ones. So that'll happen there. There's a lot of soaks in the first phase entirely. So we basically do that, and then we'll get a suppression, and we'll move forward again to kill these ads. Same idea. And then we get to the hardest part of phase 3. So I'm gonna let the video play, and then we'll talk about the hardest overlap in P3, and probably that'll be enough for this evening. Okay, so they're doing the soaks in the second quadrant here. Okay, and then they're moving on the suppression. Okay, no, this is the second quadrant. And then there's soaks here again with these ads.
Soaks.
The plan here, I don't think I went over this actually. The plan here is to have Vex do, no, this one's Caligon. Vex is actually doing this one. So Caligon, because he has a cheat death, and Ziddy will also be doing one, is going to pick up this one and dunk this one. The timing on this one is a bit more forgiving than some of the other ones. But same idea. After the frontal is baited, the bomb will be picked up and charged and then dunked during the Giga Coils cast. So that's what we're seeing happen here. Ads are dying. They're doing the soaks.
Bait frontal.
Bait.
And the bomb should be charged here after the frontal.
More soaks.
So it's charged there, and then it's dunked pretty much right away. And it went off before the Giga Coils here, and that was fine. So you actually don't have to wait for the Giga Coils cast. Okay, and they're doing another section. They're doing more soaks, same thing, just, and it's even in the same area, right? The same thing. They're also, instead of Venn diagramming here, they're actually just stacking these, which is also fine. We don't need to be super precise with these, but as long as the people in the middle of the Venn diagram make sure to soak both, then we're in good shape. Notice that these go off in a staggered fashion. It's always the furthest one, so don't move out of the canister until yours blows up. Melee, this might be easy to forget because the ranged ones will blow up first. It'll always blow up, boom, boom, 3, 4, and then it'll do these. So it'll work its way kind of outside in or inside out, however you want to look at that.
Let's move.
Okay, and then there's a suppression, and they're setting up for the most difficult part of phase 3. Basically, if you can get past this is the most difficult part of the fight by far, right here. And they're doing a little bit of a different strat, so that'll be interesting, but we can talk about it. But basically, yeah, the tank gets a frontal here and takes that out. But what we want to do is we actually want to position the boss away from where we want to be. And this is to bait over here some of the bombs that are going to be coming out, because there's bombs that will come out during other mechanics that will mess us up later. But if we bait them here, then it just gets to be a bit cleaner, is the idea. So we're going to check out the plan here. But yeah, this is the Ohio section. Because the bombs kind of go off at the same time as the canisters. We'll see how they do it here in theirs, but basically the idea is that we bait the bombs off here, and then we move over into where the area where the tank just blew up. The tank just blew up, and then we move over, and then we set up for Ohio. So there are blazes that happen as well as the bombs here. So the blaze targets, you might not have enough time, and this is where the Warlock Gate needs to be to Kalidai. You might not have enough time to get to your soak after you do the blazes and take it out. So the general rule of thumb here is if you get the blazes, you run to where you're supposed to be so that you're already there, and then plant there, and then people can play around you. So yeah, you'll have to be really quick into this one. So yeah, there's a gateway here. It should basically go in between these two, and you'll get an idea for that, Eric, like exact positioning, where to go.
Okay.
But as soon as you see this beam, the bait is done, gate instantly, and then you need to be here. And it's so fast. It's like once you're done with the gate, you have a half second to sidestep into here. So that timing is horrible. If you can make it quickly into these far ones, these players, then you're in good shape. Void Elf can also be very helpful here, where you can basically just, if you have it, you can shoot it at wherever you're going to need to be. A lot of players were using that just because they were Void Elf from Muggsy, but just heads up, especially to, I believe LK is assigned to this one out here. So yeah, and Kalidai and Halt, Caligon City and Fire on this outside one here as well. So just get used to taking that gate right away, and making sure that you get there. So Vex will actually not be in his soak, and I forgot to mention this. Swabbles, your assignment here in the first phase is you're basically a flex to help cover whenever players are not where they are assigned to be. So you're kind of going to be in different soaks. This first one doesn't matter because it's already taken care of. Everybody can be in theirs. But like in this one, since Caligon is dunking this one, you'll want to reinforce his soak, which is the furthest one here, so that there's 3 players in that, so that the dunkers can actually get to where they need to be. So your soak is going to be different every time. So first one's kind of whatever. This one when Caligon's dunking, and then on this last one, it's going to be this again. No, it's actually not. It's Vex's. I'm sorry.
Should be the melee one.
Yep. So it's going to be the melee one on the last Ohio section. So you're going to cover Vex's during Ohio.
Do you want me to just jump in one of the 4 in the first one? Just
Yeah.
random?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
basically jump into any of them or the healer one. Like it doesn't really matter. Just get in. But yeah, Vex, you're chosen for this one because there's actually so much healing. We're dropping like a bunch of AoE stuff here. Notice that the healer ones are stacked here, healers, with the tanks, dirt. Will be overlapped with everybody here, and we'll have like, spirit links, AMZs, darknesses, that sort of thing down right here. And you won't be in any of that. You'll be because this will need to be charged and dunked like right afterwards. That timing is really tight as well. Not only is this soak timing tight, but your timing on charging the bomb and dunking is really tight because he starts casting basically as soon as this is done. So Demon Hunter's pretty good for this because you're tanky and you're also fast to get to this one. So Swab will fill in for Vex's soak here. These already have been done and dunked, and dunks during that. And then ads will spawn here, and we'll be setting up for the final part of. Basically, this is like a little transition intermission. A dunk is going to happen here, and it's going to be Ziddy from these ads. So we're doing a soak here. Notice that these are overlapped as well with the healers, and then we'll do a dunk after this frontal. So Ziddy, you'll pick up, and Yerpel will actually pick up his bomb off of these ads. And we'll charge them here. Yerpel won't charge his on this frontal, but Ziddy will charge his here, and then he's making a huge, like he's booking it way downtown, and he needs to slow fall because there's no platform here, and jump off and alter time back to the group. It's some crazy mage stuff. I recommend watching some mage POVs because it's actually harder than it looks to get all that done. But basically mage is the only one that can do it, and that will delete this quadrant and start us into the final phase. That's basically all done at that point. So I think let's just watch and see what they do. They're going inverted from what I'm used to, so they're basically set up for the dunk already, and they're electing to do it that way. So let's see how that works out for them. So they'll do the soaks here. They come out, baiting the frontal. And so the frontal happens, and then they all start moving to collapse like instantly. So they saw that frontal come out, and they're moving. Now look at how close this frontal came out, and this one's about to go off like already. You have like no time. Boom. So it's really quick. Let's just watch that again in real time. Frontal. Boom. So it's like maybe a second and a half you have to get there. And then this is you here. So we're sitting, as we're healing these off, we're sitting in the barriers and that sort of thing. And this is you up here, Vex. You're charging this and dunking for the coils that are going off right here. And that's the hardest part. That's the hardest part of the fight right there. These ads will drop. I believe this is the set that has 3 wrenchmongers. So you can't soothe all of these hunters. So Halt can help with the AoE. Banna can also help. Spoomy actually has an anti-enrage on his paralyze that I think he can take. But I think we'll rely on Halt to AoE do this set. But just a heads up, that's going on there.
When you're dunking that bomb, you don't push a button, right? It just takes it?
Yeah, you just run there.
Okay.
So they're doing
Just run up and it dunks.
There's doing these soaks here. They look a little bit different, but it's basically the same thing, right? You're just doing a cluster. there should be two bombs that drop here, right? And one of them is Yerples, one of them Zitties. Doesn't really matter. We're running away because of the suppression. And then we'll bait a frontal
Star.
here pretty soon. And this will be the frontal that
Bait frontal.
this guy just, I think that was the warrior that picked that up. So watch that frontal. Very careful, right, with the blazes. Be aware that when you get these blazes that these people that are in the frontal want to get out. So this guy shooting this blaze right next to where the edge of the frontal is highly illegal. Like this guy could have moved a bit more and given people space, but notice how they're like kind of out, like they have like this tiny triangle that they move to. That's safe. This frontal will definitely be dangerous for you. By the way, if you get hit, it punts you, right? The worst part about this is that it applies like a 30-second dot that ticks super hard. It's like 1 million every second for 30 seconds. It's just for forever. So you're likely to die. You won't die to it immediately, but you'll be like, why did I die? As like later, it's because you got hit by that punt on this thing. So this guy is not playing this very well and wasn't very nice to his friends with this frontal or this blaze.
Soaks.
Can I
So
just say one
first
thing for
they
Vex's
move.
question as well? Because he will have and
Bang
it
on.
could be different in Mythic, but you still have the button to throw the bomb. So make sure that you let it drop. Caligon's accidentally thrown it off before the mechanic actually soaked his bomb, and he threw it off at the platform.
Yeah. Ask Halt about that.
So you will have a button.
You have to use the
Don't press
button. You use the button to pick it up, but you don't use the button to dunk it. It'll auto dunk for you, but you have to press a button to pick it up. It won't pick it up for you auto when you run over it.
Yep, sounds easy.
So there's just another set of soaks here. They choose to handle it like they do the early ones, and this finishes off P1, I believe. Boom, 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 boom.
Careful melee.
And so now they are in setup for P2, right in the middle of here. So notice that this quadrant is now deleted. So they're set up for that. All right. Well, that was there. And they did the soak, and that's basically it. And then they dragged him over here at the end of it. Cool. All right. I think that has been enough to talk about as far as like an introductory. That should give us at least some legs to walk on when we get there this week. Does anybody have any questions or comments before we call it a night?
Yeah, why is
what do
Puma
we
playing
do
this
with
time?
Muggsy? You know?
Say what?
Said, what do we do with Muggsy? Hello?
We kill it.
We position correctly and kill it.
Yeah,
Oh.
we CC the bombs. Kill it.
Yeah, did you see our
Read the next
talking?
bot discussion, noob.
Oh yeah, Muck was
You're
involved
a noob.
in that discussion. That was nice. But yeah, well, we'll just. I think our strategy is going to work out really well for us. I think that's going to make it really easy for us to kill this boss now. Okay, so if there wasn't any thoughts on this, we'll go ahead and end tonight. Thanks so much for your attendance and your attention, y'all. I'm excited to finish this out. It's going to be fun. This fight looks fun.